This is the cheapest way you're going to get into an 8-scale Arrma Typhon right now. It's the new 665 Mega. It's about a little over $100 cheaper than the 223S version. However, they didn't really skimp out on this one. It has a lot of great features. And if you're looking to get into an 8-scale buggy so you can have that responsive handling and awesome jumping ability, this is definitely a buggy to check out. Coming up in the video, I'm going to show you the changes that they made to the 665, and we're going to see how it performs. Let's start off by checking out the styling of the 665 Mega, and it has the classic Typhon body. Low, sleek, aerodynamic. They have 3 different color choices to choose from. Love the new graphics, but what I love more is the new body mounting setup. So no more body clips. They've got this push button, and this body will pop up and slide right out. Still mounted to the rear is this large double deck spoiler. Love the look of the fins on that. New graphics on the side, and it's mounted to a really heavy duty wing mount. Check out that rear bumper. That'll probably come in handy when you're bashing with your buddies, and then it has this stubby front bumper. Now let's get this body off. And there's the Typhon platform. If you're an Arrma fan, this is probably gonna look really familiar. They've used it a lot, and there's good reason for it. It works really well. In fact, this is also the platform that's used on the Big Rock, and then they have a shorter version for the Granite. So really versatile setup. They did their homework with this. Love all the bracing in the center with the honeycombs, makes everything really strong. Plenty of room in this battery tray with the adjustable battery straps, and I like the new side plates that they have on here. The mud guards, a little taller up in the rear. It reminds me of the Typhon Grom setup, but here are the body posts, and there is that slot where the body slides into on the wing mount. The independent suspension setup has oil-filled shocks on all 4 corners. Don't let this red cap fool you. The shock is actually a bottom build setup. They give you special tools in there to take it apart if you ever need to do any maintenance. And because that style it is an emulsion setup, it works really well, nice and plush. Really tough suspension arms, dual shear points on the steering knuckles and the caster blocks. Even a little shield here to help prevent dirt from getting in that universal for the slider drive shaft. You can see this one has fixed links on it, where the 223S version has adjustable steering and camber links all the way around. No way to adjust the angle of the shocks, but I do like that they give these protectors on top so you're not scratching away at the top of those shock ends when you roll this thing over. The other really cool feature here is they have these aluminum plates that help prevent the pins from pulling out of the chassis. And then the rear, similar to the front, a little bit wider of a shock tower in the rear. Still has those chunky arms down on the bottom, fixed links up top. And if you're just bashing around, this is what you're gonna want. You don't want adjustable links because they do have the chance of moving in a hard crash, but these fixed links here, these are gonna stay solid. Those are metal pivot balls, that's awesome. The steering setup remains unchanged. You got the dual bell crank setup, and the servo saver is actually attached to the servo itself. Still has that big old school looking servo saver in there. Some people lock it out, some people swap it out with a aluminum servo horn if they upgrade their servo, but it gets the job done. Now the driveline, they've made a few changes here. Pretty excited to talk to you guys about this. They do still have their large gear differentials in here, planetary style, but I opened up the rear differential and there was oil inside, just like a high-end buggy would. And it looks like it's filled properly. The gears were greased properly. Everything looked good. Seal ball bearings throughout the driveline. They have the center shaft now supported by a ball bearing, where my original Mega didn't have that. And they even have this protection shield in the back where rocks can get caught. And this shield's going to deflect any rocks from getting caught in there. But the big change is in this case right here. This isn't exactly a 223S setup. This drivetrain is 3S capable, but inside this case here is an overload coupler. So the overload coupling is actually like this splined adapter that's spring loaded, and any stress to the driveline, that tooth mechanism is going to just push apart, and that's, well, the spring's gonna try to hold it together, but it's actually just gonna allow some give so it doesn't blow out any of the gears. It's a really interesting setup. It prevents shock to the drivetrain. It's not a slipper clutch, which would just slip, and sometimes the problem with a slipper clutch is the pads will glaze on you, but this looks like it's gonna hold up really well, and it should work if you do go and switch it over to, let's say, a 3S brushless system. So driveline mods on this, worthy. For the wheel and tire, we still have this black dish wheel setup with the mini spokes on the outside, 17mm hex. They even gave us a serrated 17mm nut to go on the outside, so that's not going to come off. And then it has the D-Boots 2HO tires on it. A pretty hard compound on these, foam insert on the inside. If you're ripping around on asphalt and dirt, that's when this tire is going to work really well, not going to wear away too much. And now the electronics. So the servo, different from what we've seen on the 223S models. This one is a slight step down, 9 kg servo, but it does have metal gears on the inside, doesn't have that metal center section to it. It plugs into this Spectrum 40 amp speed controller receiver combo. Pretty interesting setup with this because you can go and use this as a speed controller separately. If you want to go and add a receiver to it, you just need a jumper plug. So it's got a little bit of versatility there. No real programming to it, basic heatsink on top, and it does power the 35mm cooling fan on top of the heatsink that is attached to the motor here. Look at the size of that heatsink, very cool. And then where it gets its name, the 665 motor here. So this is 14 turn. At first glance, it doesn't look that much bigger. Threw a 540 up to it, and that's when you could see that this is a bit larger of a motor. But what's cool about these, they've got a fan on the inside to cool it. The whole system is waterproof. Just make sure you clean everything off afterwards. Now I have to show you what else comes inside the box. So this one threw me for a loop, guys. It has the Spectrum SLT2, and then I saw the orange button on the back, which means it has DSC. No, not exactly. It doesn't work with the brush setup. However, if you do go and throw a 223S Spectrum system in here, then you'll be able to use it. So you wouldn't have to upgrade that radio. And if you're trying to keep everything on a budget, that's when you go that route. Comes with AA batteries, some basic tools. There's your shock preload clips in there and that tool that you'll need to disassemble the shock and your instruction sheets. This is a really solid platform. Love the look of the new body, like the changes that they made to it. Let's head outside and hit the dirt. I got a fresh charge pack in here. We're up at RC Madness in their little basher lot. And here we go. All right, so this is a little quicker, I think, than the previous Mega that I had. The Typhon that I reviewed, I don't know how long, it had to be years ago. Yeah, I kind of remember it. It was a bit sluggish for the Pro, but for those of you that are getting into RC, this is, you know, a great start. Nice controllable, little bounce on those big jumps. The smaller jumps will land fine. We got a lot of suspension travel here. There we go, settled right in. Obviously plenty of traction in the corners. Gets turned right away. I mean, you could even keep on the power through the corners. Yeah, if you got a big enough lot, you could just run around full throttle with this thing. This is a good entry-level buggy. And buggies are really fun to drive. You definitely get some air with this one. That's what it's all about. I mean, even if you have a small plastic bike ramp, piece of plywood, you get a little air with it. To me though, having experience with the Typhon, I know this chassis can handle a lot more, so it's really cool to know that once you do want to go upgrade to a brushless system, that the driveline in this can handle it. That new coupler in the center, that's pretty interesting. Such a good buggy. I think the motor moved. So RC drivers, the Typhon Mega 4x4 is still a blast to drive. It jumps well, it handles well, and it even steers well. And I like the changes they made to improve the durability. That new coupler that's in there and the larger 665 motor with the heatsink and cooling fan. That motor got warm at best when I was driving it. However, it's not a speed demon. I speed tested it and it went 21 miles an hour, which is decent for a brush buggy. And if you're looking for a budget model that's got to hold up over time, this is definitely going to work out for you. It's not fast enough to where I think you're going to break it. However, it's fast enough where you're going to get some air time off of jumps. Now, originally I took it to a skate park to test, and at the end of the first battery pack is when the motor actually first moved on me, and went up to RC Madness, fixed it there before I took it out in the dirt. But the motor moved on me twice during testing, and when I took the module out and took the screws out of the motor, I noticed it had these thin shims as washers, and they were actually concaved. And I think that was the problem there, where it was allowing the motor to slide. So I went and put some normal M3 washers in there. They're about 1 millimeter thick, made sure the flat spot was against the composite, and the motor hasn't moved since. So that might be a little fix if you encounter that problem. And if you do hear any clicking, stop immediately so you can make that fix before you damage the spur gear. The only other tip that I have for you with this buggy is to turn the battery straps around. Because it can only run on a 2S battery pack, the way they had the straps in there, I wasn't able to cinch it down and secure the battery pack. But once I turned the battery pack around, I was able to secure that battery in there. The new Typhon 665 is definitely a fun basher buggy overall. If you're into it, I'll have links for it in the video description below.